Hello there, everybody. Brian Schwager here, founder of Wellness Movement Services, coming to you from my new living and workspace. It's expanded, as you can see, and I've been taking the time to kind of get organized and set up. It's nice to have my materials available, all my study materials and my work materials spread out on I have a nice big desk here in front of me again, so that I can work with freedom. I'm still adjusting to how the lighting's going to work in my little workspace here. So forgive me if we're still getting some glare and some shadowing. I'm going to work that out as we go along. Now, what I'd like to do today is pick up where we left off. Remember, we're talking about part 2 of my article, the next evolution in the wellness and movement industry. We're talking about the future of medicine and healthcare. Yes, some of the advancements and breakthroughs that are occurring in the field of medicine are not all positive. Medicine is transitioning away from conventional medicine and moving towards an expanded biosynthetic and AI precision healthcare model that will include nano medicine and a graphene-based sensor healthcare monitoring system. And then I left off with some video footage of the synergist Sabrina explaining this in more detail. Someone that is very well qualified to explain this and supplies us with all the research, the documents, everything's available. All we have to do is look, but we don't know to look if we don't know it exists. And I'm bringing that to our attention through this article, at least in part 2. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at what happened. What happened? Why did alternative and other medicinal natural practices get hijacked? I'm going to show you when that happened. This is all going to play out because now that you're learning the truth, I'm lifting the veil of deception so that I'm empowering you to take control of your wellness and movement. This isn't my information. This information is located for your benefit on the internet, even though they suppress all the good stuff. Believe me, I'm going to show you something here. It's going to be pretty amazing. We're going to listen to Sabrina talk about precision healthcare model for a minute, and then we're going to move into what happened. How did all this other natural stuff get hijacked?
AI healthcare. It's called precision medicine, usually. Precision healthcare uses AI to provide the right treatment for the right person at the right time. Yeah. Pulls your genetics, your phenotype, all sorts of stuff. Also translational medicine. See? Precision medicine. Next gen. It's all next gen.
See how it's all readily available to you? This is all happening to us without us knowing, without our consent, without our education. Let Sabrina continue here.
Machine learning. What did we just learn about? What am I complaining at you about? Your machine learning. Yeah. And how are they using it in healthcare? Oh, looky. The same exact way that they're using it. Where again? Where were we? Biomedical signals that they have conferences about. Why were we there? Uncooperative human activity recognition radar works the same way. See, the Journal of Machine Learning Research, it works the same way as translational AI medicine with your digital twin for your activity classification.
Now, I will be going into this in a lot more detail. I know that some of this is going to go right over your head. But remember, like I said, you're a cybernetic bioelectric magnetic organism, a multi-system of systems, dimensional system of systems, I might add. They're using that bioelectrical field that is our body to interact with our body directly, just like you can interact with a computer from a distance with Wi-Fi. Your body is a node on the network. Your body is an antenna. I will be going into this a lot further after I cover the history of how our natural health care got hijacked. But let's let her continue.
So they can literally write into your DNA, your neurons, whatever they want. They have your central nervous system as a backbone. to all of their intra-body communication for your security, your safety, biological security, and your precision AI healthcare for translational medicine works with the DigiTwin for your neurodevelopment disorder.
DigiTwin. Wow, what does that mean? That means that I have a digital twin in the cloud that's a replication of who I am. Does this sound like a fictional, a science fiction movie? It sure does. But I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is as real as the computer you're looking at or whatever device you're looking at to watch this. It's as real as that.
And your PTSD and all of it is doing the same deep learning bioelectromagnetic algorithm, feature selection, processing the databases, and you're using our own skin and bone to do it.
What she means by that is the biofield science. I'm going to be covering this the upcoming episodes, I'd like to say. I'm trying. In this biofield, like I was saying, you are the antenna. That's how they're going to do this. And in a moment, we're going to see they hijacked that part of your anatomy from you in 1910. In fact, all the natural medicines and modalities were hijacked. Now, let me make one thing straight here. Well, if they were hijacked, then how come I can go get acupuncture or I can go get this energy work, et cetera, et cetera? It's only since the last 3 decades that it's become accepted. Otherwise, in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, all that stuff was barely anybody was going to it. It was mostly looked at as, like quackery or voodoo or some sort of demonic methodology of healing, because that's what they wanted you to think it was. But actually, it was these methods date back over 2,000 years old. They are the way to heal. Well, of course, they would hijack it and learn how to tap into it, which is what she's just explaining here with precision AI healthcare. When we look at graphene-based sensor healthcare monitoring system, monitoring. So they can monitor you from a distance. You don't have to show up any longer for the most part. This is all coming. Most of it's already here. You don't have to show up to get everything checked anymore. They can do that from a distance. They just tap right into you. Just like they can upgrade your computer from a distance, right? You got updates available. So what do? You let it update through the internet, through the Wi-Fi. It just updates. Well, your body's a computer. I'm going to be getting into this. Your body is a working computer, and the CPU is your brain. All right, so I get kind of excited because I'm passionate about the truth and lifting this veil of deception. This information is impacting my service in my industry. They don't even realize it yet. They don't realize that half of these health challenges that we're going to be dealing with in the future, coming up with the next 2 and 3 generations, this is how it's going to be looked at. And hijacking your nervous system and your organ function, your immune system, is readily a fact. And by the end of part 2, you will be well informed. And again, I will supply you with all the links. You can go and look up all this stuff for yourself. You can see for yourself. This isn't nothing new. All the literature is right here. And this stuff dates back a while. In fact, the wideband area network went live in 1995. Your body is a node on the network. Whether you believe it or not, it is active right now. So if you're wearing a Fitbit, if you're wearing an Apple Watch, if you're wearing an Aura Ring or any of these devices that directly make interface with your body, all that information is not just for you any longer. It's all dual purpose, just like your cell phone is dual purpose. But where do we go next? we're focusing on the root cause of disease and not the symptom. That is what we should have been doing, and that's what we started to do at the turn of the century until what happened? Well, until the Flexner Report came out. And they banned, or I should say, when the Flexner Report came out, that was the predecessor to what we're seeing happening right now. And again, when I say right now, I'm referring to 2024 going on to 2025. But this stuff has been around. Look at this. Went live back in 1995, and since 2012, the human body became a natural antenna and connected directly to the internet and the cloud. And we can go all the way back to the 30s and 40s, ladies and gentlemen. If you think internet activity and telecommunication or something, that happened in the 20th century, you're far mistaken. They manipulated that historical information for their advantage. So when you're not in balance, you're not at ease. So when someone comes to me and they have a health challenge, what I'm looking at is their whole body. That's what I covered in episode 1 and in part 1. I brought everybody up to speed that where we went wrong and why we are seeing this constant rise in illnesses. Because what happened? We have this incredible rise in all these illnesses growing at a rapid pace, and that isn't even the half of it, because in the last 4 years we've also seen a dramatic increase in myocarditis, pericarditis, and sudden heart attacks, and now these turbo cancers are making their way across the globe. So are we really ready for what's going to happen? And like I said, the way through this is by looking at the body holistically. A holistic approach refers to the whole body. The word defines the consideration of the entire person, which includes mind, body, and spirit. And holistic approaches deal with therapies like homeopathy, Chinese or Ayurvedic medicine. Yoga could be considered a holistic therapy. My mindful movement exercises are considered a holistic approach. But me, as a practitioner, I'm looking at the whole body. And that is our way out. That is how I've been able to help my clients by using the 4 principles, which was created about 2014 and implemented in 2015. But my whole career, I've been looking at the body holistically. So when someone comes to me, I will partner with a chiropractor, an acupuncturist, an energy worker, someone that deals holistically in behavioral health to help my clients get to the cause of their challenge. Because I guarantee you, if you have, let's say right now, you have a musculoskeletal challenge. So you have one of these challenges here. And someone comes to me and they say they have low back pain. And they think that's where the problem is. And guaranteed that's where the pain is. But that's not the source of the problem. The source of the problem is within the system itself. The system is out of ease. The system is out of balance. And the system we're referring to is the 10 multidimensional systems here. These dimensional systems, the skeletal, the nervous, the circulatory rather, lymphatic, reproductive, they are all working together as one. And not even to mention that you have an energetic field, which we're going to be getting into in later episodes. But what we're talking about here is disease. Are we getting to the cause? When someone is out of balance, when their life is out of balance, their body is out of balance. When their chemistry is out of balance. So let's say if you have sicknesses, right, and you have symptoms, You feel run down. You have no energy. You have excess sinus drainage, impaired breathing, inflammation, fever, and even high blood pressure. These symptoms are letting you know that you're toxic and that your life is in disarrangement. That's why I put the hyphen between the S and the E. Your life is not at ease. So when my clients come to me and I carefully evaluate their health history, because that's where the mystery is, between their health history and their lifestyle. So here's an example of a short survey that I used during an initial consultation. So recently someone had come to me and has energy related challenges and had some previous injuries, and I've come to find out that they have chronic fatigue, they have numbness in their hands, they had bladder issues, sinus problems. They circled 5 when it come to just rating their daily stress level. Their stress has to do with relationships and money. They feel anxious. Well, they got anxiety, so that tells me everything there. They eat processed food. They frequently skip meals. They've taken antibiotics, and they have skin irritations. And then on the back here, I wanted to get an idea what their movement-related conditions were. And yes, they had an injury. They had a head and neck injury. They have shoulder issues, lower back issues. They had feet issues. And they're working out 3 times a week doing strength training. Here's my point. They want to lean up and they want to muscle up and they want longevity. And let alone the health history displayed other information. So their health history, they were on 5 different medications. They checked off extra skipped or rapid heartbeats and palpitations. They checked off all the sections for family health history, and their social habits were pretty extreme. I was able to determine that they were out of ease, and the exercise prescriptions that they were doing were not in congruence to their physiology. So their physiological stress load was high. So an increased physiological stress load means they have a decreased tolerance for exercise. And they're exercise doing high intensity training 3 times a week. That's a recipe for disaster. Exercise is like medicine. I'll be covering a lot more of this in part 3 under movement. But like medicine, if exercise is wrongly prescribed, it also can have a severe side effect. Why am I bringing this up? Because we're not looking at the health history. We're not looking at the mysteries in the history. And then if I want to get more information, if I really want to go down the rabbit hole, then I need to know what they're eating and how they're sleeping. So they'll fill out a 7-day food diary and a sleep log. And then my detailed questionnaire. This is for the comprehensive lifestyle consultation. This is if they decide to work with me, and I already got a lot of information. I will suggest if they fit that category, I will suggest I need more information. And in this questionnaire, of course, I want to know what their intentions are and their long-term vision. What's your dream? How do you want to feel? How would you like to move as you get older? Remember, one of his goals was longevity. But in this more detailed questionnaire, I ask a lot more questions when it comes to their emotional health, and then I rate it. Biochemical health, how are they sleeping? So up here, this has to do with how are they handling stress. And then how are they digesting food, what and when we eat and drink. And that goes pretty much into detail. All the way down into physical health, how we're moving. And we ask them a lot more questions dealing with their body. And then I rate that. And then a rating scale is established. Here's an example. This isn't the person I'm talking about, but here's an example. Look at the highest rating. It was in emotional health. Biochemical health was on its way to the red. Nutritional health in this person's instance wasn't too bad. Physical health was on its way to the red. And their total represents their total stress level. So physiologically, if their rating is up there like this one was, this is a before, this is how we brought them down by making corrections, then they have a decreased tolerance for exercise. And how did I bring those down? I looked at mind management, taught them about their sleep-wake cycles and got their sleep back in rhythm. Another example is I had a client, their sleep-wake cycle was off. I simply had them turn off their cell phone, don't put it in their room, turn off their Wi-Fi. He did a couple of other things before going to bed, and now he's sleeping like a baby. Nutritionally, we start giving you advice. The first place I start is the gut, because that's where all disease begins. What are we putting in our body? Are we putting the wrong fuel in it? Are we putting poisons right back in? No wonder we got so many darn symptoms. Are we not eating right for our metabolic type? I use the check principle of the primal pattern diet type, how to feed your body according to its unique racial, ethnic, and environmental needs. Teaching him the value of drinking purified, clean water, and then how to move correctly. Another example is I'm working with a 25-year-old male with chronic lower back pain, heel pain, neck pain, and shoulder pain. Had seen a number of practitioners and trainers, none of which looked at lifestyle factors. So after he went through my comprehensive consultation and physical assessment, the first thing I did is I had him stop all sugar, all alcohol, all foods that were pro-inflammatory, increase their water, and we started a light, and I mean mindful movement. Remember, if the physiology is high, the exercise prescription has to be low. Got him to a chiropractor, and the symptoms started to come down automatically. In fact, even before we got to the chiropractor, because that took a couple of weeks to get that into play, just making those lifestyle changes started to buffer the pain down. That's it. But the pain he came to me with is gone. And it has been gone now because he got reevaluated. He worked with me for 12 weeks. Pain's gone. And we're in our 15th week. And his exercise prescriptions are going up, which means his the level of difficulty and intensity are all increasing, and he's doing fine. So when the body's out of balance and toxic, it will let you know. Those are simply called symptoms, due in part to poor lifestyle habits. Poor eating habits, poor sleeping habits, and poor stress management habits. Those stressors are just part of the many stressors that have an effect on our control systems of the body. Stress goes up, poisons get activated, body starts to purge. Well, how does your body purge? It raises the blood, it could raise your blood pressure, raises your body temperature. You get fatigued, you get a fever, you get tired, you start to sneeze, you start to sweat. Some people urinate more, some people have to defecate more, maybe they have diarrhea because the body's eliminating what it doesn't want. Another example is food poisoning. And has anybody out there ever had food poisoning? What happens? I don't have to spell it out for you, but your body's got to evacuate those poisons as soon as possible. See, your body's an intelligent organism. If we knew how to run it with intelligence, it would heal itself. Look at what it does when it's sick. It lets you know. But what it really wants is it doesn't want you to go to the doctor and get a medication for it. What it wants you to do is take some time off, get rid of the foods that are causing the problem, learn how to breathe adequately, hydrate, and get your life in order. That's what it really wants. Now, I'm not talking about you got a heart attack and you got to have, blood pressure medications. I get it. I work with plenty of clients that were on medications only to want to get off of them. And they did. But I didn't take them off of them. I'm not saying that if you got high blood pressure medication that you go off of that and just change your eating habits. You got to make changes in your lifestyle first, work with your medical doctor, and hopefully he or she will work with you on weaning you off. Why do you have high blood pressure? Why do you have high cholesterol? And that's a whole nother fiasco right there. The whole statin drug industry. And what you're gonna soon find out was all that was put into play to keep you sick, to keep business going, because you're not in balance and nobody's talking about treating the root cause of your illness. So what happened? Unfortunately, modern medicine views healthcare as a symptom treating business. This is largely due to the influential work of Abraham Flexner and the groundbreaking creation of the Flexner Report back in 1910. 1910 is when you had your rights hijacked as far as how to heal your body naturally. The Flexner Report is the construct behind what we now call the biomedical model of disease that is focused on treating symptoms and labels instead of the cause. In this institutionalized biomedical model of disease, they omitted all forms of natural medicine and started discrediting various medical practitioners that focused on the cause rather than treating the symptoms. And I'm going to take you to a YouTube documentary which I would impress upon you to watch the entire thing. And I'm just going to play a little bit about how they describe the Flexner Report.
However, in 1912, vitamins were discovered and we began the long process of understanding their health benefits. Keep in mind that by today's standards, the practice of modern medicine was in its infancy. These pharmaceutical companies had developed and patented drugs to treat a variety of common ailments. According to the National Center for Biotechnology Information, doctors soon recognized scurvy, beriberi, rickets, and other conditions as specific vitamin deficiencies rather than diseases. Unfortunately for pharmaceutical companies, vitamins cannot be patented. Now, the pharmaceutical cartels were faced with a dilemma. How do you promote the sale of extremely profitable patented drugs over natural remedies like vitamins? The answer? You find a way to control doctors and influence what they prescribe. You might think that this sounds like some sort of science fiction movie, but that's exactly what happened in the United States. Slowly and methodically, medical practices moved to profit-driven system promoting pharmaceutical drug sales and profitable surgery over curative medical practices. Basically, the long-term management of diseases was found to be more profitable than efforts to cure diseases. In 1910, the Carnegie Foundation decided to focus on reforming healthcare and commissioned Abraham Flexner to study medical schools in the United States. You may be surprised to learn that Flexner had no medical training. Rather, he was one of the country's leading educators. The Carnegie Foundation gave him a unique perspective from which to study the healthcare industry. During his research, Flexner visited every medical school in the U.S. The results forever changed medicine in this country. The Flexner Report, as it was to become known, was published in 1910. In it, he criticized most of the 155 medical schools in the U.S. and called for higher standards, more hands-on clinical work, and more research. That, in and of itself, was a good thing. And at first glance, you might think that we're better off today because of his findings. Well, in many ways we are, but let's dig a little deeper. The Rockefeller Foundation seized this opportunity to promote their own agenda. They used their influence to help pass legislation putting the American Medical Association, a private institution, in charge of overseeing medical training and practice. And how exactly did they do that? Well, some things never change. Just like today, they used campaign donations and lobbyists to further their agenda. In exchange for large campaign contributions, legislators gave the Rockefellers just what they wanted: the AMA in charge of medicine in the U.S. Unfortunately, the AMA was also heavily influenced by the Rockefeller Foundation, which, as you remember, was looking for a way to promote their patented drugs. Consequently, The AMA promoted allopathic medicine to the point that it became the only approved form of medicine taught in the US. Consequently, doctors began prescribing the Rockefeller Foundation's patented medicines to manage, not cure, illnesses and diseases. As a result of the Flexner Report and the newfound authority of the AMA, medical schools were under intense pressure to conform to the wishes of the Rockefeller Foundation. As I mentioned a moment ago, in some cases that reform was badly needed. However, other forms of medicine quickly became outdated and were labeled accordingly. The Rockefeller Foundation began awarding large grants to medical schools that taught allopathic medicine. Schools that still embraced alternative forms of medicine could not compete financially and were forced to close. In the end, half of the medical schools in the US were closed.
So, in 1910, your natural medicines were hijacked. And it took a long time for a lot of those to become well recognized once again. Just ask any veteran chiropractor, and they'll let you know that their industry fought tooth and nail to get the accreditation and the approval of the United States to accept them as doctors. Sure, you can go to an acupuncturist today, and you can go to a Reiki energy healer. You can go to massage therapists and naturopathic doctors, but far and few between. People are not aware that the true practice of medicine was hijacked in 1910. And one of the things that they really hijacked was our body's ability to heal itself. Now, remember, medications, all they do is they promote more symptoms, which keeps the business going. That's the whole method. That's the only thing that they had going for them, was repetitive business. That's what the Rockefeller and the Carnegie Foundation saw was a profitable business. Whereas alternative medicine would put them out of business, because these doctors at the time, during that era, were healing people using plants and other medicinal medicines that were from the earth, using modalities like touch for health, and using modalities like energy itself. The body is made up of electrical magnetic energy. Remember, the human body is a cybernetic bioelectrical magnetic organism, an integrated multidimensional system of systems, fully capable of receiving, processing, and transmitting information at the deepest level. The body is made up of vibrating electromagnetic energy. And who knew that more than Dr. Raymond Royal Rife, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, a lot of the greats that passed before us? But Raymond Royal Rife really brought the whole aspect of using frequencies to nullify bacteria and viruses to the forefront.
Of suppression written by Barry Lyons, the people who made this book. Royal R. Rife, born in 1888, was one of the greatest scientific geniuses of the 20th century. He began researching a cure for cancer in 1920, and by 1932 he had isolated the cancer virus. He learned how to destroy it in laboratory cultures and went on to cure cancer in animals. In 1934, he opened a clinic which successfully cured 16 of 16 cases within 3 months' time. Working with some of the most respected researchers in America along with leading doctors from Southern California, he electronically destroyed the cancer virus in patients, allowing their own immune systems to restore health. A special research committee of the University of Southern California oversaw the laboratory research and the experimental treatments until the end of the 1930s. Follow-up clinics conducted in 1935, 1936, and 1937 by the head of the USC Medical Committee verified the results of the 1934 clinic. Independent physicians utilizing the equipment successfully treated as many as 40 people per day during these years. In addition to curing cancer and other deadly diseases, degenerative conditions such as cataracts were reversed. Rife had been able to determine the precise electrical frequency which destroyed individual microorganisms responsible for cancer, herpes, tuberculosis, and other illnesses. His work was described in Science magazine, medical journals, and later the Smithsonian Institution's annual report. Unfortunately, Wright's scientific theories and method of treatment conflicted with orthodox views. His work was stopped and both the research and the treatments were forced underground. Doctors secretly continued curing cancer patients for 22 years after the original success of the 1934 clinic, but always with opposition from medical and governmental authorities. However, from 1950 to the mid-1980s, a number of research scientists, working independently, have slowly been verifying the scientific principles upon which Wright's clinical cures of the 1930s were based. A body of recognized scientific evidence now overwhelmingly supports the original cancer theories articulated and demonstrated by Wright 50 years ago. This includes modem age researchers. In the 1950s, John Crane, engineer, machinist, laboratory analyst, health researcher and inventor became Wright's partner. Crane, born in 1915, worked at Wright's side from 1950 until Wright's death in 1971.
And here again, we see more and more evidence that there were technologies that can be used for good, not the way they're using them now. And that Dr. Raymond Royal Rife was discredited later. And like the video will explain, his research continued thanks to those who followed his work and took his work beyond his capabilities after he had passed away, and further discovered that, yes, it was true that we can use frequencies to cancel out viruses and bacteria. But let's get a little bit more information about his success using frequencies to kill viruses and bacteria.
With these microbes, Rife increased their natural oscillations until they distorted and disintegrated from structural stresses. Rife called this frequency the mortal oscillatory rate, or MOR, and it did no harm whatsoever to the surrounding tissues. Today's Rife instruments use harmonics of the frequencies shown on the display screen. The wavelength of the actual frequency shown is too long to do the job. This principle can be illustrated by using an intense musical note to shatter a wine glass. The molecules of the glass are already oscillating at some harmonic of that musical note. They are in resonance with it. Because everything else has a different resonance frequency, nothing but the glass is destroyed. There are literally hundreds of trillions of different resonant frequencies, and every species and molecule has its very own. It took Rife many years, working 48 hours at a time, until he discovered the frequencies which specifically destroyed herpes, polio, spinal meningitis, tetanus, influenza, and an immense number of other dangerous disease organisms.
And not to get too far ahead into the upcoming episodes, because we are not done talking about more practitioners who have made their mark in history. I'm going to be talking about the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. The biofield and the body as an electrical magnetic unit. This is how I look at the body. So I not only look at posture and range of motion and what they're eating, how they're sleeping, how they're thinking, and how they're moving, but I now see the body when they come to me with these challenges as a body frequency system that is low. And why are the frequencies down? It's because of the way they're thinking. It's because of the overexposure of electromagnetic frequencies in our own homes. And we have ways to mitigate that. It's because that they're not sleeping, that they're never rejuvenating their body system. They have hardly anybody's getting the proper sleep. So how can they repair, rejuvenate, and rebuild? The food that they're putting in their body is all low energy. Any processed, inorganic GMO, now we have the bioengineered foods, are all designed to lower your immune system and augment your energy system. And even the body's ability to transmit and receive information, we have all that ability. It's just been taken from us. And out of all the systems in the body that have been taken from us, we have all these systems. So imagine if I never taught you about the nervous system, if I didn't describe how your skeletal system works with your nervous system, or you never knew about your immune system. Imagine that if you never knew you had an immune system, and then one day you learned that all this time you had this immune system that could heal you. Well, that's what they did with the biofield. They took that part of your anatomy from you in 1910. And I'm going to be showing you how they brought it back, but under their terms. But what I'm going to describe and teach you is under our terms, our meaning those who are trying to help people naturally, about how you can harness your toroidal and auric fields to help bring your body back into balance. Therefore, it will heal itself. We bring healing modalities to the body with right foods and maybe some therapies and some meditation. We bring those to the body so it can balance. And then once the body's in a nice rhythm, frequency, now it can heal itself. What if I told you that 80% of your immune system is within the biofield? No wonder they harness that. All right, I think I went a little bit over than I wanted to today, but I wanted to really get into episode 2. Get ready for episode 3. Take this information, watch it again and again, share it with your family and friends. You want to learn more, reread my part 1. My part 2 article is I'm going to get this completed. I promise you. I only got a couple more paragraphs or another section to finish off. Go to my YouTube channel. There's plenty of information on there to help you. And if you'd like to learn more about my initial consultation, which is free, where I do the survey and do a little dive on your health history, or if you'd like to go down the rabbit hole and get to the cause of your wellness and movement challenges, all the contact information will be located at the end of this video. All right, I'm Brian Schwager. I'm empowered and have been blessed to bring you this information. Be well, my friends. Bye for now.